It's a big year for the Marshall Thundering Herd and Charles Huff. I think some people are putting Huff on hot seat or getting close to that. So this is a team that definitely needs to take a step forward. And when you look at what they've done in the past, as well as the talent that we'll talk about today that's returning, there's a lot of reasons to be excited about the future of Marshall football. We'll start with the defensive side of the ball because to me, Marshall's defense has flown under the radar. So a guy like Michael Green is not well known in college football. I think the casual or even most of the national media don't know who Michael Green is. Someone who had a big year last year, 9 tackles for loss, 4.5 sacks, 6'4", 238 pounds. He is someone who is going to get a lot of attention this year because of what he did in 2023. And he is someone who can be disruptive for this team. This is a defense that continues to, I think, produce solid players. Now, last year was a little bit of a struggle as a team as a whole, defensively specifically. So they're looking to get back on track on that side of the ball. But a guy like Michael Green is going to create a lot of pressure. He's going to open things up for the guys around him, as well as the guys at the linebacker position. And it's going to make life very easy for this defense as a whole. IK's legs is another guy that fits into that role there. I think this is a defense that will be much better because you have talent on the defensive line. Legs had 7.5 tackles for loss, 3 sacks in 2023. So you have a duo there that commands a lot of attention, commands a lot of respect, and that helps the defense as a whole. If you're able to get pressure up front, if you're able to find ways to be disruptive, that's going to help everybody else around you. It's also going to get the football back to your offense, and offense that wants to showcase what they can do and has some interesting players that we'll talk about here in a little bit. Now, everyone was talking about the secondary when you talked about Marshall for the last couple of years because of the talented players they produce. When you look at Gilmore and Abraham are probably the names that everybody brought up. But JJ Roberts had a solid year in 2023. 73 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, 2 interceptions. They have done a good job of producing secondary players that know how to make plays. They know how to make plays in the football. They know how to get the football back to their offense. And that should continue this year. This is a defense that should take steps in the right direction. I think that some aspects of this team weren't very good. I should say the defense, but also they had some pretty good aspects of them as well. Now they were in the 60s to 80s for a lot of these. So even the slightest step forward will mean more team success. If you find yourself in the 40s to the 60s statistically, then you're going to look at a better group, a better team as a whole. JJ Roberts is someone who can help that group. And with things going well up front, the secondary should be able to have a successful year as well. Now, losing Rasheen Ali was always going to hurt. When you look at the talent level that he brought to the offense, you knew that it was going to hurt to see him go. And it's pretty easy to see why. He was super good at running the football, being physical, creating explosive plays. Now you have to find a way to replace him. And I don't think you're going to replace him with one guy, but Ethan Payne is someone who can take that step forward and be more of a force, more of a factor in the rushing attack. 335 yards and 1 touchdown as a backup. He is now thrust into a bigger role, a more important role, and it'll be fun to see what he can do with that opportunity. Now, the passing attack was better last year than I think we've seen it in years past, but they also needed to bring in some talent to help that continue. You lost a couple of players to the transfer portal, but you also added in the transfer portal. So a guy like Elijah Metcalf expects to play a big role in this passing attack this year. At Middle Tennessee, he had 54 catches last year for 634 yards and 5 touchdowns. 5'6", 172 pounds. So size is definitely not a strength of his, but he is someone who's explosive. He is tough to take down because he understands how to get open, how to be quick and make guys miss. And I think that's really going to be a good thing for a Marshall offense that wants to get things back on track and back to where they want it to be. And throwing the football to balance out the rushing attack will be one way to do that. Now, that rushing attack will feature a number of new faces, and Jordan Houston is one of them. So obviously losing Rasheen Ali, like we talked about, is a huge loss. But bringing in Houston was kind of a sneaky good addition. I think that a lot of people knew who Jordan Houston was over the last couple years, but then injuries obviously limited his production at NC State. I think that he is set to have a big year with Marshall. 544 yards on the ground, also 213 yards as a receiver, had 1 score as a receiver last in 2022, I should say. So he is someone who can be a dual threat, if you will, out of the backfield. So I think that Marshall feels pretty good about their running back room, even without Ali. I think this is going to be a really fun group to watch, a group that should be much better than 95th than they were last year. And Houston is going to play a big role in that. Again, the passing attack should be really fun to watch. We talked about Metcalf. DeMarcus Harris returns after a solid year, only had 24 catches, but averaged 16 and a half yards per catch. If you can find a way to get him the ball more and he's as efficient as he was last year, he is set for a monster year. And again, there's opportunities for guys to step up. Harris is one of those guys that could be in a position to do that. 6'1", 181 pounds, so maybe not the biggest frame, but he knows how to utilize his frame. He knows how to utilize his explosiveness, and he is someone, like I said, that could have a big year. And when you look at his numbers last year, if, like I said, if you can just expand upon that, you're looking at an all conference type player. I mentioned the secondary earlier. Josh Moten will also play a big role in that secondary. 30 tackles last year, 1 tackle for loss, 6 passes defended. Maybe plays the nickel role. Not entirely sure where they're going to utilize him, but I know that he's going to be on the field. A very talented player, 6'1", 170 pounds, someone who knows what to do when the ball is in the air, understands the scheme, understand what he is expected to do, and understands what this team needs. So he's going to be really fun to watch. An experienced player who's going to get whoever needs to step up into the new starting spots. He's going to help them get acclimated, help them get to the point where they need to be, and that's going to be really fun to watch. The quarterback position is what everyone is paying attention to. We always knew what Cam Fancher was capable of doing. He hit the transfer portal, and now you have a new face taking over. One of those players coming in is Braylon Braxton. The Tulsa transfer got off to a terrible start last year. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it, and I'm sure he would say that too. It was not a good start for him, and that being said, I think that he still has plenty left in the tank. If you go back 2 years ago and look at what he's capable of doing when he is playing as confidently as he can, he is going to be an absolute monster for this offense. And I think that getting a fresh start is what he needed. Throwing 6 interceptions in his limited time was not good, but Marshall also needs someone who is going to be able to throw the football. So he needs to find a way to be more consistent, and he needs to rediscover that confidence, because when he is playing confidently, he is a terror to stop. He is someone who is not to be messed with, and teams are going to have a tough time stopping him if he can find a way to throw the football more efficiently, but also he's able to run the football really well. If you go back, just go watch his highlight tape from 2 years ago. This is someone who can be electric, someone who could be the best quarterback in the Sun Belt if things are going well. It's just a matter of rediscovering that confidence and finding consistency. The guy that's competing with him is Cole Pennington. Now, I think that the quarterback competition is more than just those two guys, but those are the two big names to watch. 695 yards last year, but didn't throw a touchdown and threw 6 picks. Obviously, everyone knows the Pennington name from his dad playing at Marshall. So there's some pressure with that that he is combating, but I think that people expect some big things from him still. He was obviously young and still learning, but I think you need to see a step forward. The quarterback position, whether it's Braxton, Pennington, someone else, needs to take a step forward and needs to show that it's going to be a strength. Right now, you probably have more concerns about the position than you do anything else, but you have two options in Pennington and Braxton that have a lot of potential. If this staff can help them realize that potential, you're looking at a team that's going to be really fun to watch. This is a Marshall team that continues flying under the radar. I don't necessarily agree with the Charles Huff hot seat takes or opinions. I don't think that he is on that level. I think he's done a good job of recruiting. When you look at the talent they have coming back, this should be a solid group. The Sun Belt obviously is very difficult to navigate, but this is still a team that is very fun to watch, a team that is very tough to beat. And I think that they can find the right pieces and develop them into really good players. And after that, you're looking at a team that could compete for the top of the Sun Belt. And then the rumors, the opinions that Charles Huff is on his way out kind of look ridiculous even more.